Welcome to another edition of The Brand Called You, a video and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Today, I am privileged to have someone I know who has done a lot of work in research, marketing, and most importantly, he's helped me to select a good mic. Aseem Sood. Aseem, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ashutosh. My pleasure.
Aseem is the CEO of Impact Research and Measurement Private Limited. He's a director at the International Association of Measurement and Evaluation of Communication. He's worked for McKinsey in India. And as I mentioned, he enjoys playing with new electronic gadgets and helps friends choose the right gadgets. So we'll talk a little bit about that later. Aseem, tell me, what would you say are three key milestones in your life or your career?
I think I've been very lucky that I've always been surrounded with great people. And you'll see a reflection of that in the three milestones that I talked to you about.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is when I completed my class 12th and I got accepted into two colleges.
Mm-hmm.
The first one was an engineering college. This was the Regional Engineering College in Kurukshetra.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one was the College of Business Studies in Delhi University.
Okay.
And I still remember the day when I was in Kurukshetra. After having completed my interviews over there, they made me an offer.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to choose whether I will join Kurukshetra or join College of Business Studies.
Okay.
And I was with my father at that time. And I told my father actually that I would want to join College of Business Studies and not the engineering college.
Okay.
And I'm grateful that he said, great, no problem, we've come all the way here, but if that's what you want to do. So I joined College of Business Studies at that time, and I think that was a big milestone.
Fantastic.
Not just professionally, but I also met my wife over there.
Okay.
So that was the first one. The second one was when I got an opportunity to work for McKinsey and Company's knowledge center called the McKinsey Knowledge Center in India.
Mm-hmm.
Not many people know McKinsey for the research work.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly you know McKinsey for the glamorous consulting roles.
Correct.
I was not a consultant. I was a part of the McKinsey Knowledge Center, where you have all the knowledge professionals who work in different functional and industrial domains, and they work as knowledge advisors to consultants.
Okay.
So I got, and McKinsey is an institution, by the way. McKinsey is not a company.
Absolutely.
And it was an opportunity for me to work over there and learn so much. And related to this is the third one, which is actually one, I got an opportunity to get into McKinsey, and I think the third milestone is I got an opportunity to exit McKinsey.
Okay.
And it was a very difficult choice for me at that time because I quit McKinsey to get into a startup. And this was right after the dot-com bubble burst.
Okay.
And not many people were confident that this was the right decision. But I was again, my family, my friends, everybody supported me. So I was very lucky that I was able to take a call like that at that time. Though you only asked three, I must tell you a fourth one as well, because that's very close to my heart.
Sure.
It was, I think it was in 2014 when one day I realized that my kids are scared of dogs, pets. And I've always loved pets. I had a pet when I was very, very young. And that day I just got up and got a pet for my kids
Wonderful.
because I was really worried that they are scared of pets. And from that day till today, we have 6 dogs now.
Wow.
Yes. And in fact, while I'm recording this interview with you, there's a dog who is after my life. He's saying, pet me, scratch me, otherwise I'll not let you work. So with my left hand, I'm scratching him right now.
Wonderful. So, Aseem, let's now move to impact research and measurement.
All right.
Tell me about this venture.
Before I joined McKinsey, I worked for a public relations firm. And I used to work as an advisor, advising clients on improving their reputation and communicating with their stakeholders. Every time I would advise a client, I would also measure the effectiveness of the work that I've done for the client.
Okay.
And so many times, my clients ask me, Aseem, is this fair that you've done this work for us and you are the one who's also evaluating whether you did a good job or not? Aren't there any third party companies who can actually help us measure the effectiveness of our communication? I looked around in India, there weren't any. I had this idea, but I didn't do anything about it. When I was doing my master's, I got together with a few of my friends and we made a business pitch. We reached a lot of venture capitalists and said, this is what we want to do. Will you fund our proposal? Nobody agreed to fund our proposal because they said the scale is not that great.
Right.
And we dropped it. After I'd worked at McKinsey for a few years, I met a friend who introduced me to a couple of people who believed in this idea. They had the money, but they didn't have the time. And I told them, I had this idea. I have time, but I don't have money right now to start a venture of my own. So they agreed to invest in this venture.
Okay.
And I was able to quit McKinsey and get into impact research and measurement. So Impact is essentially a news intelligence firm.
Okay.
What we do is we help our clients understand what is their image in the media. We help them understand, are they able to communicate with their stakeholders as effectively as they wanted to?
Okay.
We help them understand, are they achieving the goals that they had set for themselves from a communication perspective? So that's what we do.
So when I was working for my ITC, image is very important. But in those days, there were newspapers and magazines, and it was the general belief was that you release bad news on Friday evening and you release good news on Monday morning because people forget after some time. But in today's day of social media, how do you measure the impact that negative coverage can have on an organization?
So what we do today is we follow an integrated approach wherein we look at what are people saying about you in the newspapers, what is being said about you on television, what is being written about you in the online news websites, and what are people saying about you on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And we combine it all and bring it together to our clients to say, if you were to look at in an integrated fashion, this is what your image is across all these platforms.
And you must have developed some algorithms to be able to monitor each of these and then integrate all of them, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Because
In fact-
I'm assuming they are all quantifiable.
Yeah. So there's a science behind it, but yes, you can quantify all of them.
Sure.
In fact, one of the reasons I got into this business was because I'm very tech focused, and this is a business which allows you to use technology in every aspect of the business,
Correct.
right from capturing the content to actually synthesizing and delivering the final reports to the clients.
Okay. And then tell me, does Impact also get involved in taking corrective action and then saying, because of this action, your score has improved from, say, 85 to 95?
Okay, we help you measure how the score has improved from what to what, but we don't advise clients on what is it that they should be doing to correct it.
I see.
That is the job that is done by public relations consultants. So while we work with a lot of companies directly, we also work with public relations consultants and consultancies.
Okay.
So that's the job that they do.
So therefore, a follow-up question to you would be that when there's bad news, the client doesn't like to be researched and measured.
Correct.
What are some of the challenges you face, especially in a professional company where the CEO doesn't want the board to know that he's goofed up or she's goofed up?
So what you've just mentioned just now is one of the biggest challenge that we face in India. So people have actually told us that, Aseem, are you sure that you want me to pay you so that you can come back and tell me that I did not do a good job.
Right.
So that's a tough challenge that we have. But see, earlier people used to look at measurement as a rear view mirror. How have we done so far? But now what people have started doing is they've started to use these data points to learn what can they improve going forward.
Correct.
All our clients who are approaching measurement from that window, they are doing very well, and we are doing some exciting work with them.
Fantastic. So, in fact, that's what I was going to ask you next. So, your role seems to have changed from a post-mortem to a prediction.
Yes, yes. But I must tell you, when it comes to predictive analysis, we're not doing as well as we think we can.
Okay.
We're still learning. In fact, we've started applying technologies which everybody talks about, machine learning, artificial intelligence. But we've just taken baby steps. We're still learning how these can be applied to actually give our clients something which is really meaningful and insightful. In fact, there's a term in our industry right now which is called chart porn. So a lot of these companies which are technology powerhouses, what they've done is they've come up with solutions which offer a dashboard which has, say, 300 charts. They are very good looking charts. They will give you all possible metrics that one can think of. But do they tell you anything? No. A lot of companies who actually sign up with these automated dashboard providers, what happens is they will love it on the first day. They may like it till the end of the week, but at the end of the month, they come back to us and say, Aseem, I've signed up for this. They're giving me a lot of charts and data, but what do I do? How do I make sense of all of this? And this is something that we were lucky to be able to identify initially itself. And we've been helping our clients identify what are the right metrics that you should be measuring. How should you link them back to your objectives?
Because what was very attractive as I was reading about you was that, your recommendations are specific and measurable, rather than a lot of qualitative data, and I think that could be very valuable to clients.
So in fact, this is our main job. This is why people hire us. To give you an example, a CEO goes to the communications manager and says, guess what? In the next 1 year, this is what our business goal is. And this communications manager converts that business goal into a communication goal for himself or herself.
Correct.
And then we step in to help this communications manager understand whether in that period were we able to help achieve the goal that he had set for himself or not.
Okay.
And also take out learnings from that to say, next time when I plan, what do I have to be careful about? What should I repeat? What should I drop?
Very interesting. Very interesting. So let me talk now a little bit more generic stuff about impact. My question to you is that, you're dealing with reputations and the organizations are entrusting you to, research about them. What are some of the core values you believe in for your business?
We work with a lot of corporates and we work with a lot of partners to make sure that these services are delivered to our clients. Interestingly, we work with a lot of competing clients.
Okay.
I think we're working with each and every management consulting firm in the country. I think we're working with almost all the luxury car manufacturers in the country. We work with several banks who compete with each other. We, in fact, also work with two of the most successful and the biggest beverage manufacturers in the country who normally do not share partner, a vendor. And we are lucky that we are getting a chance to work with all of them at the same time.
Okay.
So the biggest challenge for us is, rather, the thing that we do very well is we are able to deliver services to all these clients and still keep the scope and the data confidential across all these clients.
Fantastic.
But here, it's not about us. The best part about this business is that the data that we deal with is always public in nature. It's always freely available. People have tweeted about it. It's already out there in the open. So it becomes easier for us, but still, that's one thing. And the other thing is that we've been we're very lucky that we've been able to encourage our team to always tell the customer if we are not able to help them. And this is something I actually learned from McKinsey and Company, wherein I saw partners walk away from huge business if they felt that they were not able to add value to the client.
Okay.
And we, in a small way, our retainers are far smaller compared to McKinsey and Company, but in a small way, we are able to do that in our business as well. So if we think our service is not going to add value to the customer, we tell them that, sorry, this is not what you should be signing up for. You need something else.
Amazing. So as you look back at your journey and as you look forward, and this is a question I could be asking your subordinates or your colleagues, but based on your own feedback, what is your leadership style?
I think I'm learning. I'm learning, but if you were to ask people who work with me, I'll be happy if they tell you that I am a good listener. I think that is something that I try and do to make sure that I understand perspective of all the people that I work with. But I'm also learning. Every day I learn.
Okay. My next question is that what do you look for when you hire people?
Two things. Skill set has to be directionally correct. But attitude has to be absolutely correct.
Okay.
Because I've learned over the years that I can't change people's attitudes. I can help them learn a new skill set. I can help them become better at what they know a little bit about.
Correct.
But I can't change their attitude. So attitude is the most important thing. So anybody who we hire, initially the person meets the HR person and then meets a couple of people in the function that he's going to work in. And after that, I always meet the people that we are evaluating for hiring only to check the attitude. I think that's the most important thing.
Fantastic. My last question before I move to the next segment is that, Aseem, this is the age of the millennials. And the millennials are, much more receptive to data. How have the millennials and the Gen Z started to impact your kind of business and the data that you're giving to them?
At multiple levels, I must tell you that. First level, a lot of our customers are trying to communicate with these millennials.
Correct.
Their reading patterns are absolutely different from ours.
Correct.
Their sources of information is absolutely different from ours. So we've had to learn a lot so that we can understand what are they reading, and therefore how do we evaluate whether we are connecting with them well or not.
Correct.
So that's one. Two, new people who are joining our company are also young. And so we need to make sure that the roles that we create and the way we work with them has to be something that they feel excited about and motivated to come in and work. And the third thing is, this is something I learned from one of my mentors. Now, if we create something new, we show it to millennials and ask them for their feedback.
Okay.
And we use that feedback to improve what we have created.
Very interesting. So now I'm going to move to a few questions for you personally. My first question is that, as I had mentioned right at the beginning, that you enjoy playing with new gadgets. And I also mentioned that you helped me to buy a new mic, which I've not yet been able to install, but I'll probably reach out to you. Tell me about this interest and what are you playing with now?
All right. So currently there are three things that I'm playing with. One is I realized now that every meeting is happening on Zoom, it's very important that your visual presence is very good.
Correct.
And I also got a chance to write an article about it for a publication earlier. The second thing I realized was that everybody's working from home, and therefore the Wi-Fi that we have at home is not able to work very well for all the people, because kids are at home, you are at home, your wife is at home, so everybody needs Wi-Fi. So that is not working very well. So I did a lot of research in that area during the pandemic, and I've figured out, what are the right gadgets to buy in that. And the third thing that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to experiment with these digital assistants, namely the one by Google, then Amazon Echo, and Apple Siri.
Okay.
And I'm playing with these physical gadgets that they have. One is called Google Nest Hub, and the second is called Amazon Echo Show.
Okay.
So these are the three things that I'm currently playing with.
Fantastic. And do you write about your findings with all these new toys, or how does the average viewer or the thousands of listeners who will listen to you and me, how do they get access to what your observations are?
Okay, I'm not very regular, but yes, I put it out on asimsood.com off and on. And I also put it on the blog of our company, which is impactmeasurement.co.in.
Okay.
And I also write for a couple of magazines. In the past, I used to do reviews of products for PC Quest, as in I've done a couple of reviews.
That is very nice. So, Asim, as you look back, what an amazing career you've had, and you're at the cutting edge of technology, doing lots of interesting things. What does success mean to Asim?
To be able to spend time on things that I want to. I think that's what success is.
Okay. And where do you draw your inspiration from?
Okay, so I love to create stuff with my own hands. So I like to repair stuff. So the latest thing that I created was I converted an LCD monitor, an old broken LCD monitor, into a soft light, which is lighting me right now as we speak.
Wow.
So I have all the tools in my house. So again, I was very lucky that my father was somebody who believed in doing stuff on his own. So we have every tool in the house, right from tools that are required for carpentry to electronics, you name it, and we have the tool. And I very recently I built a new table for myself wherein I can do all this work. I call it Bob the Builder table.
Okay.
And I got an idea from a Pinterest post on how that table could be created.
Okay.
And I worked with a local carpenter to get that table made. So
Wow.
that was fun.
Wow. So now I'm going to ask you my last question. And this question talks about failure. I have a new book coming on failure in March, where, one of the things that I've often observed is that South Asian parents don't teach the children it's okay to fail. Yet we fail all the time, and we learn and we carry on. My question to you is, what have been some of your learnings from some of your mistakes or your failures?
It's interesting that about 2 months ago, I was speaking with a colleague of mine, and he's a rock star. His wife is doing very well. And they told me that they realized that they've always discussed their achievements with their kid. And as a result, their kid was not very confident at that time, because all that the kid would hear is, my father has done so many great things. My mother has done so many great things. And then they told me that, we've started talking to our kid about failures as well. And that was very interesting for me. And if I were to look back, I think there are a lot of mistakes I've made. In fact, every year I realize that I wish I was as smart last year.
Okay.
I think I did very well at McKinsey and Company. When I was leaving, a lot of partners reached out to me and asked me why I was leaving, and tried to make
Hold you
sure that
back.
I stayed. But even when I look back now, I realize that there is so much more that I could have done. I could have actually created a 10 times bigger impact than what I was able to. And one thing that I learned pretty late was asking for help.
Okay.
I think as we grow in our career, we forget that we can always ask for help. And lately, once I started doing that, I've had some very good experiences. And I realized that unless you ask, you don't get it. So
Fantastic. Fantastic. Aseem, thank you very much. It's been such a pleasure speaking to you, and I wish Impact and you lots of success.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.